Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Real quick, just want to give you all a shout out. Everybody who's viewed a video, liked the video, commented, subscribed, all that good stuff. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And today I have a very interesting video. This isn't like a typical DIY or something like that. This is more of a opinionated, right? This is like an opinionated video. Today's video, I'm gonna be going over the top 5 things that I love about my BMW E92. Don't worry, there's gonna be a hate video too. There's gonna be a hate video coming out of the top 5 things I don't like. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. And starting off, the number one thing I love about my E92 Coupe is the timeless design on the exterior. And guys, no matter how biased this sounds, it really is just timeless. BMW was so ahead of their game by putting even halo lights in these cars. And even now, guys, it is the iconic indicator that you see a BMW going down the street is by the halo headlamps. And it's one of the little things that they threw on these cars that I just love. I mean, no matter how you look at it, especially when the sun is setting and you don't need your actual headlights and you just have your halos on, it really does look so aggressive rolling down the street. And not only that, guys, overall, the whole aesthetic of the car, just how sleek it is, how low it sits to the ground. The car is by no means perfect in any way, but for the time period, it was as close to perfect as you're gonna get. Considering these came out in 2007, most people can't even tell the difference between this and a 2012, 2013 car. With the huge aftermarket that's available on these cars, whether you're putting wheels, whether you're putting upgraded halos, whether you're putting a little tow arrow like I have right here, no matter what you put on these cars, the aftermarket is so huge, and that overall contributes to how modern this car looks. And no matter your preference, whether you have a 328, a 335, an M3, whatever, obviously M3 is cream of the crop, but no matter what you have, guys, I think as BMW owners, we can all agree that these cars were completely ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. And really look, guys, how modern and aggressive this looks for a car that started production in 2007. I mean, it's unreal. So number one that I'm gonna go with is the timeless design that this car came with from the factory on the exterior. Interior as well, but we'll get into that. That's a number 2 on my list, guys, of things that I absolutely love about my E92. And this is something that I experience every single day when I drive the car, is really just how good they handle. From the factory stock, if you didn't get like the staggered wheel setup or etc., you may not exactly feel it and how well they handle, but as soon as you start doing some small suspension modifications, as soon as you like install coilovers or a strut brace on the car that ties the strut towers together, or let's say like the M3 control arms that you can upgrade to, those are all plug and play. You can literally get the M3 control arms that give it a more aggressive camber and overall more stiff and rigid and install it straight on the car, guys. And I think that is absolutely sick. These cars just handle so freaking well. But once you start dialing in the suspension and your wheel setup and everything, then every time you go out to drive, it is literally like an amazing feeling. And it's not even like you having to own an M3, even a 328, 335, 330. Once you dial in your suspension, it's not that expensive and it makes the fun factor on the car worlds like better. And so it doesn't take a car expert to see that my car is on the lower side of things. You can see right here, can't even fit maybe like one finger in at a time. And that's because I installed coilovers on the car. So for those of y'all who don't know, if you get good quality ones, coilovers are amazing. It's basically the lowering springs, the struts, everything all in one piece. And you really just take out the old suspension, install the new one. And if you get good quality ones, it'll increase the handling significantly. I'm talking, it'll stiffen up the whole front end of the car. It'll make it sit lower, have a lower center of gravity, and overall make this thing feel freaking insane. And from the factory, they have 50-50 weight distribution already. So you're already building upon what's tried and true. And overall, they just handle so well, guys. And shout out my aftermarket steering wheel. We'll get into that in a minute. But once you tie all that together, guys, with the nice feeling wheel and etc., and you just have like the 50-50 weight distribution from the factory, and on top of that, you dial in your wheel setup, your suspension and everything, these are uncontested when it comes to owning a car at this price point for handling. I mean, there's no cars out there that handle as well. I mean, let's talk like a 1 Series. But besides that, once you dial everything in, it's very, very hard to find like a car at this price point and etc. that'll handle as well as these do. It's probably my second most favorite thing about this car, because how the car handles, guys, is going to translate to your everyday life. It makes everything quicker, running errands, picking up friends, etc., you know. It's one of the little things that you may or may not appreciate, but these definitely handle great. So yeah, that would be number 2 on the list. And just a disclaimer, guys, these are all subjective. You know, what I may love about my car may not translate to y'all. What I hate about it also might not translate. This is just my opinion. I've owned this thing for about 4 or 5 years now, and so I've really gotten like accustomed to the car and really gotten to like drive it on the day-to-day, really push it to its limits in terms of like chassis and etc. with how I drive spiritedly. So yeah, this is just all subjective. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into number 3, the third thing I love about my E92. So I'll talk to y'all through my reflection, but hear me out on this. Number 3 is the interior, because, and I want y'all to truly take into consideration the interior. 2007, these bucket seats with the thigh support, or even the sound system, which some people complain about it, but I have no idea why. I think the sound system sounds pretty great from the factory, but I want you to just look at everything else. Minus the touchscreen that came with the iDrive knob right there. I'll leave a link where you can purchase yours down below. That actually made the car look like a whole generation newer on the inside, so I love that. Highly recommend it. But let's take into consideration stock, guys. The cup holders in the dashboard, the cup holder in the center console that is air conditioned, routes the air conditioning to it. Just look at everything in its entirety, stock from the factory, and the seats and everything else. And guys, for a car that was produced in 2007, I mean, think about like the Mustangs or just other brands that were released back then, even Volkswagen, etc. And the interior design, or at least like the quality portion of the interior, is actually pretty spot on. I mean, obviously you're gonna hear some creaks and rattles as the car ages, but overall, guys, for a car that started being produced in 2007, I personally think the interior is great. I think it's one of the things that highlights the car for me. I know some people do not feel that way, but that's how I feel. So number 3 most favorite thing about owning my car is just how modern everything looks, especially when you add your little touches, like your upgraded shifter, or your little carbon fiber here or there, or your handle, or just your upgraded steering wheel. All that stuff, you can really make this car's interior look like a 2012, 2013, 2014 car. So yeah, let's go and get into number 4. And so my 4th favorite thing about my E92, which is subjective again, but in my opinion would have to be the lighting. Really just all around the car. All of the lighting systems in these cars, I feel like we're ages above the competition. So I know we mentioned lighting very briefly in terms of like the timeless design, but like I said, guys, the lighting components in these cars really are, I mean, extremely modern. They aged perfectly well. And I think that for the most part, the lighting systems in these cars contribute to a big factor of how they look. I think lighting is extremely important. You can see I have the white turn signal bulbs / daytime running off in the corner, and you can see I have these like ice white halo bulbs as well, and overall that contributes to making the car look so much more modern. And besides that, coming around to the back, guys, you can see I have these new LCI taillights that I installed. They are the smoked color. I'll go ahead and drop a link down for these below. These are amazing, transform the whole car if I'm being honest with you. But besides that, even the stock taillights from the factory for the 07s, we're talking like pre-LCI. The pre-LCI ones didn't look this sick, but they still looked very modern for the time. You can see these thick like LED OLED strips coming through. I actually have sequential turn signals, so it's like a loading bar. But overall, guys, I mean, just look at that. For these to be released from the factory, again, in my opinion, ahead of their time. BMW was kind of doing that before a lot of these car companies hopped on their wave, and then they started producing taillights that look super similar to these. But lighting, it makes a big difference overall, guys, on how the car looks from day to day. To have these sequential turn signals on the side markers, these are not stock. But even then, the placement of all the lights and etc., and the ability to be able to upgrade these so effortlessly, to me, that makes a big difference in the car, how modern it looks, all that good stuff. So I would definitely say that plays a big factor. That's one of the little things that I appreciate about these cars. The 5th thing that I love about my E92, I don't even think I could put these in order, guys. I'm just gonna say that this list is just scrambled. But my 5th favorite thing would have to be the aftermarket, how large the aftermarket is for these cars, and as well, the exhaust sound. Obviously that kind of ties into aftermarket. I have my secondary cats removed, my resonator and my muffler removed, and sound wise, I think this thing sounds freaking sick. Aftermarket is so big for these. The possibility to do anything with these cars is out there. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all how the exhaust sounds. So we're gonna go ahead and fire it up. So that wasn't the crispest sounding clip that I made because my microphone couldn't capture how loud it was, I guess. So it sounded a little distorted. But yeah, guys, the exhaust on these, super easy to modify, sounds great. I have my secondary cats removed in the car, my resonator and my muffler. And overall, ended up kind of being free because I just sold all those components to pay for the exhaust work I did. Yeah, guys, it's super easy to modify them. And it sounds really, really nice in my opinion. And overall, aftermarket for these cars is huge. You can get anything for them, from the carbon fiber mirror caps to wheels to lighting, really everything, guys. The aftermarket is huge all around the world, not just in the US. So yeah, I would definitely have to notate that as number 5 on my list. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up the top 5 things that I like about my E92. And like I said, I've owned it for about 4 or 5 years now, so I really don't have a reason to be biased. These are just things that over time I've learned to appreciate about the car. Like I said, this list may not be in order, kind of just 5 things off the top of my head that I thought I'd share. For anybody out there who has an E92 or is thinking about getting one, now you kind of know a little bit more about what to expect. But if you guys like this video, go ahead and smash that thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions at all. And yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.